Hello, everybody, and welcome.
Then she says top 5 documentaries, and in my head I'm going like, top 5 documentaries? I don't think I've watched 5 documentaries. What are you doing to me?
Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Lifestyles of the Rich and Sweaty, where we find on caviar lists, and I don't know what the rest of this thing is. As usual, I'm your friendly neighborhood soda, joined by Ben, Big Fudge Rainer, and 50, Shades of Geek today. How are you guys doing?
Interesting. I'm interested to hear what you guys have to say about this topic. I had to scrape the bottom of the barrel for my list.
Not me. What about you, 50?
Yeah, me too, kind of. I like I said in my fake documentary style intro. I don't think I watched 5 documentaries, to be honest, but I think I've managed. I don't even know what the name of my number 3 is, but I'll look it up while we're talking.
See, I'm in the opposite because the way I do things is it's like 2/3 conventional movies and TVs, a third documentary. So I actually watch a lot of documentaries. So that's why
I wish I was more like that.
I'm just, you know what? I'm just interested in learning, and it just some things just pop up in like Netflix and Amazon Primes that catch my interest, which is what you will see with this list. But like I said to Ben, I've seen so many documentaries, enjoy them. It literally took me 5 minutes this morning to do my list and honorable mentions.
Yeah, and something interesting that I found out last night, actually, you know how I always complain about it's so hard to find movies to watch legally in my area?
Yep.
It's about 4 times harder to find documentaries.
Not even on YouTube or anything?
On YouTube, sometimes you get just, like last night I found just the audio for the thing and not the actual thing. But
because I know, well, I don't know if there's different YouTubes and places, but I mean, there are a lot of documentaries, especially History Channel documentaries and stuff like that you can actually get fully on YouTube. That's what I do. I've made a playlist.
I believe that's my number 3 and maybe even my number 5. But
perfect.
A lot of them, you really have to look hard for them, like I did last night.
Yeah. All right. Well, you know what? Let's just hop right into it because I got a feeling there's going to be no punts. So we've got a lot to talk about. So whose topic was it? So who wants to start today?
Yeah, thanks, Saul.
Who wants to start today?
Why don't you?
You're clearly the fan.
Okay, so my number 5, like I said to Ben, I'm hoping to God yours are actually happier because mine kind of deal with tough-ish subjects. So my number 5 is a documentary that's actually on Netflix. It's called The Miami Sound Band Massacre. I'm just gonna read the brief introductory period on the massacre that's on Wikipedia, just because it's easier for me to do that than to try to articulate what it's about. So, the Miami Show Band Massacre was an attack on July 31st, 1975 by the Ulster Volunteer Force, a loyalist paramilitary group. It took place on the A1 road at Bushskill in County Down, Northern Ireland. 5 people were killed, including 3 members of the Miami Show Band, which were one of Ireland's most popular cabaret bands. The band was traveling home to Dublin late at night after a performance in Banbridge. Halfway to Newry, their minibus was stopped at what appeared to be a military checkpoint where gunmen in British Army uniforms ordered them to line up by the roadside. At least 4 of the gunmen were soldiers from the British Army's Ulster Defence, the UDR, and all were members of the UVF. 2 of the gunmen, both soldiers, died when a time bomb they were hiding on the minibus exploded prematurely. The other gunmen then started shooting at the members. And then basically it came out years later that basically was kind of like a hit job to send a message to the Irish dissenters at the time, because that was at the time of the NRA and all that stuff, right? So yeah, it's an interesting documentary because you think this is just a band. That's all they are. They're just a band. They're a popular band. And then out of nowhere, freaking they get gunned down on the side of the road. And it's just it's interesting catching up with the surviving members and how it's affected their lives and all that stuff. It's a hard one to watch because you're delving into Irish politics and stuff like that, which is a bloody mess. But overall, it's an enlightening documentary.
I mean, yeah, it's. Didn't we discuss this at one point on one of our shows?
We might have. That's the thing. I don't remember what I put on my list last time.
Because I remember Saul is part of a marching band or was part of a marching band. So she might have mentioned this. Maybe it was on our show, or maybe it was on the Roca Discord at one point.
Maybe.
But I definitely remember hearing something similar to this.
It's a good time, and it dealt a huge blow to the Ireland's live music scene, because at that time Catholics and Protestants were at war. That's what the War of Ireland was about at the time. But the music was bringing them together, and then this happened, and it set everything back.
Yeah, music can bring the world together, but it could also pull us apart.
Yeah, it's like I said, it's if you're interested, it is a Netflix original, so it should be available on Netflix all over the world.
Maybe not all over the world, but I have ExpressVPN, so I can
Sure.
I can maybe look for it. I could just look on it on
Yeah, like I said, this is like
Irish.
It's you can only find it on Netflix. Like I said, it is a Netflix original documentary. So, all right, 50. Let's go to you for some lightness before I bring us down again.
Oh, are you going to me for likeness? Because
no, well, okay. Ben will be the light of today's episode. What is your number 5?
Because I'm looking. Maybe I need to change my number 5, but I can't find the name of my number 5. So
okay.
But I literally just now changed it last minute because I prefer this one to what was my original number 5. But my number 5 will be on my honorable mentions, and that was really the darker one, the more bleak one.
Okay.
But it's basically, like I said, while you were talking, I was just looking at the name of my number 3 and my new number 5, but I can't really remember the name of it right now. But it's about what killed the dinosaurs.
Oh.
And it deals with a bunch of paleontologists, paleoarchaeologists, scientists, all people who study that particular area of study, and they offer up several potential options to what could have killed the dinosaurs.
And
it's not, and
no, I'm interested in that stuff.
And it's not really what you might think. Obviously, everyone knows the story. An asteroid came in and wiped all life on Earth at that time. Not exactly true, because if you look at where the asteroid actually hit, which I believe is the Gulf of New Mexico, if you look at around the area, not a single dinosaur bone was found anywhere near the area. A radius about, I think, 300 miles or something like that. So no dinosaurs at all were in the area of the impact, which suggests that most, if not all, dinosaurs were already dead before the asteroid hit, and the asteroid was just the final killing blow. And they offer up, like I said, a lot of alternative solutions and possibilities. Some suggest that it was the bugs that killed them. They passed down diseases from
that as well. Yeah.
From dinosaurs to dinosaurs. Some suggest that some carnivores migrated because of the way the Earth was built around that time. So a lot of the herbivores just were able to eat and consume more than they could have, and that's why the dinosaurs were so big. They grew to massive sizes over millions of years, and they just eventually couldn't sustain themselves. A lot of it suggests that the herbivores died out first, and so the carnivores had nothing to eat, and so the carnivores went right after them. Yeah, it offers up a bunch of different options. Nice. Again, I wish I found it on YouTube a couple of years ago, but I couldn't find it now. Maybe it's been taken down. But yeah, it was definitely a night worth remembering. Me just sitting down watching that documentary, because it was around the time, I believe, that Jurassic World Evolution came out, if you're familiar with that game. I think I mentioned this in our video games based on movies episode, which it's you're building a dinosaur park. You're building your own Jurassic World. I was really interested in dinosaurs at the time, still am, but not quite as much. So I just wanted to learn more about dinosaurs, and that documentary really helped me out a lot.
I've been a fan of dinosaurs since I saw the first Jurassic Park, and it does ebb and flow a little bit. Right now, I'm back into it because of our video game episode. I've been freaking binging Lego Jurassic World like mad. But there's something really, really cool that I want to bring with you guys that I read about last night. If you in Alberta in 2011, while they were digging for oil, they came across the best preserved dinosaur ever found. It still has its skin, and it still has some of its internal organs. And they will be putting it on display, so you can actually see what a dinosaur really kind of looked like. And I'm trying to find it, and one of the things they were able to determine was the color, because they were using I can't remember what they did, but they were able to tell it was a brownish red color.
Cool. I thought the most well preserved dinosaur up until hearing that, I thought it was the Nodosaurus, which was, I believe, found in
the Nodosaurus.
Oh, yeah. So yeah, it's like an Ankylosaurus. You can actually see where the eyes were.
Yeah, I'll bring up the picture right
now.
So
it's that one.
Yeah, it's the same one.
Yeah, that's the one, the Nodosaurus.
Yeah, and that's in Canada.
Of course it is.
Well, no, honestly, like Alberta, Drumheller is one of the most richest lands for finding dinosaurs. That's why there's the Royal Tyrrell Museum in it's in southern Alberta. I can't remember what town it's in. I really want to go one day. I just never have.
Do you know how many dinosaur fossils were found in Israel?
No, actually, I don't.
0.
Yeah, I'm not.
Yeah, but it's a tiny country, so it makes sense. But there is in my city a sort of a ditch that has fossils from the Mesozoic era, which is the era where the dinosaurs lived. It's mostly just shells and oceanic fossils, but still pretty cool. And right now they're kind of developing it into a visitor center as we speak. Right, okay. Not right now because it's Saturday, but still. And there's also a museum right next to my house that actually features a couple of dinosaur bones. Not found over here, obviously, but there's a dinosaur exhibition right now, and I actually went to it, and it's pretty cool. Tiny, but it's pretty cool.
The only time I've ever seen a dinosaur exhibit in person was when the year I moved to Vancouver in the Metrotown Mall. They brought in full-size animatronic dinosaurs, and I almost shit myself because like I saw Jurassic Park.
No, I saw
under the T-Rex was frightening.
Were you like Sam Neill? Real?
It was a combination of Sam Neill for the first movie and Ian Malcolm in the second one. Hey Ryan. Yeah, no, if you ever find the name of the documentary, send it my way because I really would want to watch that.
Yeah, I gotta look it up, but I was gonna mention I actually did see a proper dinosaur exhibit when I went to the British Museum of History.
That's okay. When I start traveling, that is a place I'm going. The Royal British History Museum.
If you're ever in London, that's one of the places you got. There's much more than just dinosaurs, but the dinosaurs are a pretty big part of that museum.
I love history museums. The only one I've ever been to is actually in the town I was born in. It's in Gatineau, Quebec. I can't remember what it's called right now. It's been so long, but yeah, it's one of those type of museums similar to that where it's history from all over the world. It's awesome.
Yeah, because the British stole history from a lot of different people.
Exactly. What about you, Ben? So where do you stand on dinosaurs? I don't think we've ever talked about that.
Why do you hate dinosaurs, Ben?
Yeah, Ben. We know from last week you'll throw your dad under the bus. Sorry, call back to a previous show we were on. I had to. No, well, seriously, what are your thoughts on dinosaurs?
I like them. Now, I don't know. I'm going to show my age. I don't know if it's good or bad or whatever. Whenever I think of dinosaurs, I always think of the same 5. Because my childhood revolved around Power Rangers.
Oh.
So I always think of Tyrannosaurus, Mastodon, Saber-tooth tiger, a pterodactyl, and a triceratops. Yeah. And of course, Jurassic Park, amazing movie. But I thought they knew that everybody else, so I don't think
Oh,
of that
really?
I
automatically.
mean, it came out the year I was born, so naturally I saw it after a lot of other
Man,
people did.
it's one of my that and Aladdin are my earliest movie going memories. Front row, opening weekend, Jurassic Park, the weekend it came out.
Right.
And after that, like I said, my love for dinosaurs blew up. My grandma, I might still have it in my parents' place, but my grandma actually got me a dinosaur directory on every dinosaur that at that time they had discovered. So that's how I started to learn about dinosaurs and stuff. It was awesome.
I'm gonna say this.
Is that your mom, 50?
Yeah, I don't know why she's using my stepdad's user, but yeah, that's her.
Hi, 50's mom.
I'm 50's mom. I'm gonna say this when. Oh yeah. What? My favorite.
I didn't know if it's my mom now or if it's him, so I'm just gonna
You
leave it
better.
at that.
My favorite scene in Ted 2
Mm.
is a weed forest scene where they mimic that scene in Jurassic Park and end up dinosaurs. It's all weed.
Oh, nice.
I
You
think I
never
saw
seen
Ted
it?
2. I think I saw parts of Ted 2. I don't think I watched that scene.
I've only seen it the one time, and because of our discussion on raunchy movies the other day, I've been meaning to go back and watch it.
Ted 1 is a better movie,
Oh, hands down.
but Ted 2, they're harder and more funny maps, in my opinion.
No, I agree. Hands
Okay,
down. And what's
well,
funny is my dad hates that type of humor. We went to see it when he visited me in the city, and he fucking absolutely loved it. He hates Family Guy. He hates The Simpsons, but something about that movie.
Maybe it's the talking teddy bear.
Maybe. I really do want to go back and rewatch that, though.
I can't wait for the prequels, so.
Oh, that's right. I forgot about that.
All right,
Okay.
Joe, should I say my number 5?
Yes.
I Am Your Father, the biographical documentary about David Prowse. And
Oh, I didn't even know that existed.
a couple of fans just dove into his life after what he was up to for the last 30 years. It's an older documentary. I don't know if you can find it anymore. But
I Am Your Father, David Prowse. Okay.
Tell me to look up.
We're talking, Dave. There, Ben, while I look it up.
Yeah, keep talking. I just went to grab a drink. That's all.
2015, so it's not that old.
Yeah,
correct me if I'm wrong, but didn't he pass away this year?
Yeah, he passed away recently, yes.
Here, let me read the description. David Prowse is an 80-year-old actor who lived behind non-famous masks during 3 decades. A group of Star Wars fans find out why he has been apparently forgotten by Lucasfilm during 30 years and decide to give him back a glory he never had. This is their last opportunity.
Okay. Because not only what I know about David Prowse, like obviously he's Darth Vader, but he's actually the guy that got Christopher Reeve in shape to be Superman.
Yeah. That's also part of his legacy.
He was in. Have any of you guys seen A Clockwork Orange? He was also in there as well, but he was on camera for that one.
Oh.
Yeah.
Have you ever seen the behind the scenes video of Vader talking?
Oh yeah, I've got the big documentary they did when they released the special editions on DVD, and so him and Peter Mayhew, to hear them deliver lines in costume is a lot weird.
Oh, here it is.
Bring me the passengers. They want them alive.
It sounds like Don Cameron a little.
It does actually.
Maybe.
It does.
Yeah. Maybe. What I did like about hearing Peter Mayhew doing the lines, though, is like, okay, now do I know there actually was dialogue between Chewie and Han. I'm gonna have to look that up. Yeah, I don't have my phone with me, so I can't go on Apple TV to look to see where it's streaming. But that's another one I'll have to look up, man.
If you, the thing is, if you really look at, I just wanted to ask if did George Lucas know he was going to replace David Prowse's dialogue with James Earl Jones's voice while they were filming?
They probably
David Prowse clearly didn't, but did George knew that he was going to do that?
I'm trying to remember. I think, if I'm not mistaken, originally it was supposed to be Prowse, but when they heard it in dailies, it just didn't sound right. If I'm not mistaken.
Because if you really look at A New Hope, especially,
Yeah.
if you look at David Prowse's movements as Darth Vader, clearly he's moving in such a way where you know he's saying something, and you either hear nothing or something completely different than what he was intended to say.
There are a few glaring moments where that is especially noticeable. Like the one for me that just popped in my head is right after the scene at the beginning where we're introduced to him, where he says, "I want them alive." You could tell something is off there.
Well, don't forget, yeah, Lucas had a plan for all 6 movies, I'm going to say, but he was still making things up as he went along. Otherwise, why would he have let it kiss Luke?
I don't know.
I was more referring to the scene when he's just talking to Tarkin, and I think it was like,
Yes, Ryan, thank you. Best hockey documentary of all time. Thank you.
okay, thank you for stepping all over my point, but yeah. So in A New Hope, you see him talking to Tarkin in the conference room after he does the whole choking thing. He's talking to Tarkin, and he's clearly doing something with his hand, like he's trying to point at something, but you hear him say nothing. So that's what I was going for.
Yeah, that is another one too where it's glaring. Sorry, to go to Ryan's point, Gold Rush 2002 follows the Canadian men's Olympic hockey team, which is arguably the greatest collection of players ever assembled for a team. And it just goes from their journey from training camp where they chose the roster to the gold medal game and all the things that was going on. And really good documentary if you're a hockey fan. Really good documentary. I do own it on DVD.
So I'm from the way you're talking about it, I'm guessing it's not on your list.
No, it's not, because I just didn't think about it, because I said I watch a lot of documentaries, so I didn't really think about it.
Okay.
If we do this again in a year, when my list will be different again, there's a chance it could be on there.
That'll be our third time doing this list.
I know, but to be fair, the first time was in the original iteration of the group, so you know.
All right, Matt, what's your number 4?
You've all seen The Godfather, right?
A little bit, yeah.
Yeah.
So this is a documentary on the actor who played Fredo. It is the shortest documentary on my list. Great documentary, highly recommend it. It's called I Knew It Was You, Rediscovering John Cazale. Now, this is the summary that is on iTunes for the video that I own. Admired by actors and directors, adored by friends and lovers, yet unknown to most moviegoers, the venerable stage and screen actor John Cazale appeared in some of the most iconic films in the 1970s. The Godfather, The Godfather Part 2, The Conversation, all by Francis Ford Coppola, Sidney Lumet's Dog Day Afternoon, and Michael Cimino's The Deer Hunter. The critically lauded films collectively earned 40 Oscar nominations, including 14 for Cazale's co-stars, and ranked in millions at the box office. In 1978, just after wrapping The Deer Hunter, Cazale died tragically aged 42, and cinema was robbed of one of his brightest talents. In I Knew It Was You, director Richard Shepard talks with Cazale's co-stars, friends, and admirers, Al Pacino, Meryl Streep, Robert De Niro, Gene Hackman, Francis Ford Coppola, Sidney Lumet, Israel Horowitz, Philip Seymour Hoffman, Sam Rockwell, Steve Buscemi, and others, and paints a loving tribute to a talent too soon. It's a great, great documentary on one of the lower forgotten character actors in history. I've always heard about it. I decided to buy it last year. Totally worth your time, especially if you're into movies, because this is the only actress in history where all 5 movies he's appeared in before he died were all nominated for Best Picture. All 5.
Wow.
And he was a standout in every one of them. Just unfortunately, he didn't always get nominated. And one of the Meryl Streep was his partner up until his death. And they talk about his final moments in the documentary and just how strong Meryl Streep was, because she never left his side while he was dying of cancer. She was there from morning to night by his side. So was Pacino.
Meryl Streep is just the perfect woman. Can we just agree on that?
Yeah, and this is like, I mean, obviously I knew Meryl Streep, but this is the first time I'd ever seen her talk about anything in her life, and right on, man. She sounds like she is a good
She
person.
deserves an Oscar just for sitting there talking in the documentary.
Yeah, like from that, she deserves to be canonized because he went through, he would throat cancer.
Oh.
Like smoker.
So kind of like a Val Kilmer.
Yeah, and when you watch The Deer Hunter, and they even highlight this in the documentary because they obviously show clips, he had throat cancer while filming it, and you could tell he was sick.
Wow.
Yeah, but I highly recommend it. It's only a couple bucks on iTunes if you want to buy it. And 50, I'm sure you should be able to find it over there. I'm hoping, because it's only 40 minutes, so it's a quick watch. But it is, if you're a fan of film, highly recommend it, because you got some of the greatest actors and directors of all time in this documentary talking about how great of an actor John Cazale was.
And I know we're not saying this anymore for obvious reasons, but smash cancer.
Exactly. Yeah.
Smash cancer.
Yeah. No, again, it's a movie documentary I 100% recommend watching. All right, 50. What is your number 4?
Okay, my number 4 is a documentary I actually watched for the first time last night. It's a bit of a weird story because I thought it was a different one, but I ended up watching this one instead. And it's a documentary called The Captains.
Yeah, the Star Trek documentary.
Yeah, the Star Trek documentary about the captains, from William Shatner as Captain Kirk, Patrick Stewart as Jean-Luc Picard, Avery Brooks as Benjamin Sisko, Kate Mulgrew as Catherine Janeway, Scott Bakula as Jonathan Archer, and of course Chris Pine as the new Captain James Tiberius Kirk.
That came out around that time. I forgot about that.
It was 2011, which surprisingly enough, I just found out was released around the same time as my number 3. So that's an interesting thing. But here's the thing. I remember before I became a Star Trek fan, I was with my mom at a friend's place, and somehow they stumbled upon this Star Trek documentary that goes over all of the captains, but talking about their character, not the actors playing them. It was really mostly about just the characters, breaking down each captain and everything that they did during their run, how many times they solved a matter in a diplomatic way, how many times they had to get down and dirty and punch somebody in the face, how many times they each broke the Prime Directive, how many times they did this, and just going over every single captain and their history and their legacy on Star Trek. So I saw the captains on Netflix for the longest time. Mm-hmm. I thought that was that documentary. I said to myself, okay, so once I'm done watching all the Star Treks, which, by the way, I just finished this week. I watched from the original series all the way up to Enterprise, and I assumed this was the documentary, but once I found out it was a completely different documentary entirely, which also happened to cover the first J.J. Abrams Star Trek, I watched that one. Then I watched the documentary, so I basically went to sleep at around 7 a.m. So I stayed up all night just Star Trekking all the way. But since I can't find this original Star Trek documentary, I just went with the captains, which is basically just William Shatner sitting down with all the captains, talking to them. And it is definitely the weaker one out of the two that I wanted because, like I said, the one I wanted to watch was the one where they talk about all the captains. This one, like I said, it's just William Shatner talking to the captains, and it is very William Shatner-esque.
Nuts
If you
fries.
know the meaning, and
Yeah.
if you don't know, William Shatner didn't really get along well with a lot of his co-stars, especially George Takei.
Yep.
Oh my! Because and I think George Takei even mentioned this in an interview, was he has a scene where he finally gets some speaking roles. Obviously, an Asian actor in the '60s, how often does that happen? But yeah, there's the camera is on him, and then William Shatner goes, "Cut! Stop the camera." He goes over and talks to the cameraman, and then they do the scene again. Except this time, the camera is entirely on Kirk and his reactions to what Sulu is saying. So basically, in his mind, it's like William Shatner believes that the way Kirk responds to what Sulu is saying is more important and more camera worthy than Sulu himself.
Yeah, that sounds
And
about right.
and you definitely notice that in this documentary, where a lot of the times, even when the actors like Patrick Stewart and Kate McGrew they're speaking, the camera's entirely on Shatner and his response to what they're saying. And even while they're speaking, he's like, why did you do that? Well, why did that happen? What drove you to do that? What? And he even grabs Patrick Stewart's arm at one point. What drove you to do that? And it's like, he's clearly trying to make this all about him. And even right from the start, when the documentary starts and it says written and directed by William Shatner, you're like, oh, I know where this is going. So yeah, like I said, I saw it on Netflix for the longest time. For some reason, yes, last night when I finally finished Enterprise and I wanted to watch that one, it wasn't there, so I had to find other ways to watch it. But I did eventually. So, but I still can't, for the life of me, I can't find the one I watched a couple of years ago. I don't even know what it's called, and maybe I need to do some research on that because it was a really good one, and I wish I could find it and watch it again.
Right on. It's a documentary I've been well aware of, but because I'm not the biggest Star Trek fan, I've just never watched it. But I've known about it since it came out.
Yeah, I'm not
There's
going
even
to lie. I haven't seen it.
Yeah, and there's even an interview with the late great Christopher Plummer, who was, for those of you who don't know, he was actually friends with William Shatner, and they say in the documentary that Christopher Plummer was, because they both came from stage acting. They didn't start out in TV or movies. They both came from stage acting, and this was actually William Shatner's big break, because Christopher Plummer was supposed to play Henry VIII in a play. William Shatner was one of the lower cast in that play. Plummer got sick or something on set, and he was coughing, and he couldn't speak. He had a sore throat. He couldn't go up and play, and instead they gave it to William Shatner, who was his friend during that time, and that was how basically a lot of casting directors found out about William Shatner through that play. And funnily enough, they actually got to reunite with each other. And I believe actually Plummer was originally considered to be Captain Kirk at one point or another before they gave it to Shatner. And I actually had the chance to reunite on set in Star Trek VI: The Final Frontier.
So the wasn't Plummer in one of the movies? Yeah.
Huh. And he's a very Shakespearean Klingon in that movie, which goes back into William Shatner and Christopher Plummer's love of Shakespeare.
Makes sense.
And one of the best parts about that documentary is that Patrick Stewart says that after all he's done with all the Shakespearean characters he plays, he very conveniently somehow leaves out Professor Xavier from the list of accomplishments he's had, but no idea why. Maybe it's because of William Shatner editing, but he says that after all the roles he's taken on, if everyone just remembers him just for Picard, then he's happy with it.
Very nice.
He's feeling fulfilled.
Very nice. All right, Ben, what's your number 4?
My number 4 is about the movie trilogy. Back in Time came out in 2015. A documentary about 30 years of Back to the Future.
Yeah, I've seen the documentary.
Yeah, need to talk about it. I mean, it is
I haven't seen it since it came out, so it's all you.
a great documentary looking at how it was made, why it was made. You get to back to see the stuff. It is a great documentary. I really like it.
Isn't it? It's done from the. It's basically a fan documentary, is it not?
I don't think so. I mean, it's on Peacock.
Hmm.
And it's on, I know you guys don't get this. It's on Hulu, so I don't think it's fan made. It might be.
Oh yeah, because it used to be on Netflix back in the day. That's where I saw it.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah, if I'm not mistaken, this is also the documentary where they showed them rebuilding the screen use DeLorean.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, great documentary if you can get a hold of it.
Like I said, it's on Hulu and it's on Peacock for us in the States.
La-di-da.
Well,
That's one I got to add to my list.
I'm kidding, Ben. I'm kidding. Yeah, no, it is a good It is a good documentary. And then to add on to that, I mentioned on another show we just did recently. They just dropped the new season of the movies that made us, and the Back to the Future one is a really good episode.
yeah, it's still got to watch that.
Yeah, I should get around to watching that.
All right, here are the documentaries for you. Which one of these does it?
Well, I know about Trekkies because I was searching a lot of documentaries last night trying to find it. All four of these were mentioned on a top 10 list that I found on YouTube, but none of them are the ones the specific one that I found. It might have been like a Discovery Channel exclusive or something like that, but or History Channel or whatever. But it's probably one of those channel specific exclusives, not one that was released in like theatrical form or streaming service. That's why it's so hard to find.
Gotcha.
But Ben, I have a question for you. Have you read the book Back from the Future?
No, I bought it. I know Brad Kimmel wrote it. I haven't read it yet.
I haven't. I still haven't read
it. I haven't got it because I was going to ask you if it's if you liked it or not. But I guess it's one that I'm going to read to catch up on anyways. I mean, Ken's book, Why We Love Star Wars, is just
great book,
an incredible love letter to Star Wars. So if Brad Gilmore can do the same for Back to the Future, then it's a must read.
Yeah, no, I 100% agree. So my number 3 then.
You'll make me happy. What's your number 3?
Okay,
make it so.
Yeah, touche. No, this is actually, I would say, the most recent one on my list. More Than Miyagi.
Oh,
I don't even know
when it came out earlier this year. This is the iTunes blurb. The Oscar-nominated actor, best known for his role of Mr. Miyagi, left behind a painfully revealing autobiographical record of his much too brief time here on Earth, tracing his journey from being bedbound as a boy to the bright lights and discrimination in Hollywood. Deep inside that sweet, generous, multi-talented performer seethed an army of demons that even alcohol and drugs could mask. He was an alcoholic till the day he died. He was a drug addict. Basically, all the stuff that he went through growing up, like his being bedridden, because I can't remember what caused him to be in bed, and then shit that happened obviously during World War II, and discrimination in Hollywood. Like, I mean, he was given the nickname and he ran with it for his stand-up comedy. His nickname was the Hip Nip, which, if those of you don't know, Nip is a derogatory, racist term used to describe Japanese, even though Miyagi or Pat Morita is American. Born in America, born in California. And you get interviews with everybody that worked with him, like people who worked with him on Happy Days. Ralph Macchio, William Zadgar are heavily involved in this documentary. Same with Martin Kove. They have interviews with Tommy Chong, Issei Morales, like a lot of actors who worked with him. And to see some of the stuff that he did that wasn't in, Miyagi or Happy Days was interesting. Like, I didn't realize that he was in a TV show called Mr. T and Tina, which was a short-lived, weird show that they showed like in.
That was me, sorry.
They show a clip of him like floating around in a jetpack. It's a little weird. But if you're interested in learning more about Pat Morita and who he was, it's a documentary I do recommend watching. Just be wary. You do see a side of him that, like, when they talk about his demons, they show footage, and it's a little hard to reconcile the image of Miyagi with that. But in order to appreciate Pat Morita, I do recommend watching this documentary.
What I love about Pat Morita is you can tell he loved his characters he played, because he kept bringing up homage to all of them, whether it's Miyagi, whether it's Arnold from Happy Days. He wasn't afraid to reprise those characters in other media.
Yeah.
And you can tell he did it for the fans.
Oh, for sure. And they obviously, because Miyagi is, who he's recognized as, they do spend a lot of time talking about the Karate Kid movies. And I know this is out there, but he was never the original choice for Miyagi, because when he was brought up, it's like, why would we want Arnold from Happy Days? Because that's who he was known as at the time. They wanted Toshiro Mifune, who was really tough, like Japanese kind of guy. That's who they had in mind. But then when Miyagi came in and read with his voice, and it's like, that's our guy.
Yeah, that's really the Miyagi that you needed. You don't need the tough grr guy. You need someone who could be basically Yoda, like strong and powerful, but also kind and wise. And that's really what Miyagi was.
On a side note, if they're talking about Miyagi, I love how they're handling him in Cobra Kai. I love the amount of respect they're showing that character on that show.
Sorry, I actually got sidetracked a second. Can you say that again? My bad.
I love how they're... What?
I said my bad. I just got sidetracked.
Okay.
On Messenger for some reason.
I love how they're handling the Miyagi character on Cobra Kai.
Oh, agreed.
I love how much respect they're showing him.
And a lot of that comes from real life respect between Ralph and William and everyone.
And Martin.
No doubt. I believe that 100%.
Yeah. And you know what? Pat Morita, funny. Funny man. Very funny.
You can tell. I mean, in every one of his characters.
That's exemplified in his character of Arnold from Happy Days. It really is. Especially when they touch on this in this documentary. It's a funny little storyline. Richie and the gang decide to take karate lessons, and it's at Arnold's, but they don't think twice about it. So they go, it's like, okay, who's our teacher? And out comes Arnold, just soaking in the applause from the audience. It's so great. Yeah. All right.
I love that show.
So, okay, that might be the lightest one on my list. No. My number one is the lightest. 50, what is your number 3?
Okay, my number 3 is called Earth Making a Planet.
Oh.
Earth, Making a Planet.
Is this BBC
It's basically...
One?
I think it's a History Channel or National Geographic. Hold on. I happen to have it on the other tab here, but it's basically... It takes you through, it's a National Geographic one. It takes you all the way from the creation of planet Earth to the modern day. And it's entirely CGI, by the way. Oh. It basically goes to, like I said, from the creation of the Earth, from gas to how it got filled up with water from asteroids from space, how it got hit by a celestial body, presumably Mars, which eventually created the moon. All the multitude of ice ages that the Earth has been through, how life began on the planet, all the way from the Precambrian to the Cambrian to the Permian era to the Mesozoic era to the Pleistocene area, all the significant eras of planet Earth. It shows you. I can't really pull the name of the creature right now, but it's the shared ancestor of lizards, reptiles, primates, and avians, I think, which came from the ocean. I can't remember the name of it right now, but then it obviously takes you through the dinosaurs and through actual real world locations where fossilized evidence of our own ancestors, like a certain monkey that died inside a puddle in Germany, perfectly preserved till this very day, and that is believed to be one of the oldest known ancestors of humanity. It takes you to
is it the not the bog mummy, is it?
no, not that one.
Okay.
But it also goes all the way into Africa, into the origins of the proto-humans, the split between Homo sapiens and Homo erectus. Like I said, it takes you from the beginning of the Earth, the creation of the Earth, all the way to the modern day in spectacular fashion, and narrated entirely by Reggie Cathy, the late great Reggie Cathy. Came out in 2011, and this was, I think, the same week I watched the other one about the dinosaurs. I watched this one, and I believe I watched it like a month or two before Reggie Cathy passed away.
Oh wow!
In 2018. So that was a weird turn of events, but yeah, it's great. It's called Earth Making a Planet.
Yeah, I have heard of it. I think I might have seen it on like Netflix or something. Like not
And
watched it, but
it really emphasizes just how much the time that humans have spent on planet Earth is ridiculously insignificant next to the longevity of the planet itself. And like, humans have been on Earth for less than 2 million years. The dinosaurs have been around for 3 million years, 300 million years.
Think about that. We're still relatively young when it comes to the grand scale of Earth.
And look what we've been able to accomplish in such a short amount of time.
Yeah,
just even more incredible,
right? It's amazing.
And they keep making that joke, but it's still true. You know how in Mark Ellis's favorite movie of all time, Fantasia, there's that moment when the T-Rex is fighting the Stegosaurus, and that's like it became such an iconic moment of Hollywood history. The reality is the Tyrannosaurus Rex is actually a lot closer on the timeline to humans than it is to the Stegosaurus.
Yeah,
there's like 66 million years separating between humans and T-Rexes. There's like 170 million years between the T-Rex and the Stegosaurus, because the T-Rex is like very, very, very late Cretaceous. The Stegosaurus is like early Triassic period, which is even before the Jurassic period, which is crazy.
It really is. Like, when you think about that, it's like, holy shit. Like, and the math of that makes your brain hurt.
And also in Avengers Age of Ultron, when Ultron is trying to justify making an extinction level event, which resulted in the destruction of Sokovia, one of the points that he's trying to make was, hey, come on, guys, there's been like a dozen different extinction level events before even the dinosaurs had theirs.
Mm-hmm.
He's not wrong. I mean, if you watch this documentary, the number of times that creatures inhabited the planet for millions of years, not just centuries, millions of years, and then just everything died and started over. It's easily over a dozen times before even the dinosaurs came about, which is crazy to think about. Makes you think how much longer are we going to survive in this planet? Because that's why I'm going to get a little bit of political here. That's why the whole global warming issue is a little bit ridiculous to me, because again, if you really follow the history of the planet, global warming is a natural phenomenon. It's not something that humans created all of a sudden in like the last 100 years or so. The Earth, for billions of years, everything got warmer, and then it froze over, and then it got warmer again, and then it froze again. It happens every 100,000 years, every 100 million years or so. We just happen to live at a specific time when the Earth is getting warmer. Humans did not create global warming, but we sure as hell helped it out a lot. We accelerated it. So switching to green energy and all that bullshit it ain't gonna stop global warming. I'm sorry, you can't.
I know, but 50. The whole point is not to stop global warming. The point is to slow it down.
Yeah, but I mean, I'm sorry, you can't refreeze.
No, but
frozen areas that were already. If that's why I always say, if the planet wants us off, if the planet wants to kill us, there ain't nothing we can do to stop it. So that's just my quick rant for the day.
well, that brings an end
You
to
can
this.
slow it down, but you can't stop it. That's what I was going for.
That brings an end to this week's edition of Get Political. Okay, Ben, your numero 3.
My number 3 is. I think most of us in this field know this. Never Surrender or Galaxy Quest.
I bought it before I realized shit. It's on Amazon.
There's a documentary about Galaxy Quest.
You never heard of this?
No.
So, so the Screen Junkies people, when they moved over to fandom, they're the ones that did this.
Wow, really?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Everybody,
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
I'm going to say something about Indian and behind the camera.
Yeah.
You can watch it on
actors, I believe.
What?
They interview all the actors, they interview the directors, everybody that made on it. Like, it is a really well done movie documentary.
Well, I'm assuming it's not all the actors. I'm guessing
all the living actors.
Not Alan Rickman, I'm assuming.
No, but they do pay beautiful homage to Alan Rickman in the movie, in the documentary. Okay, Ben, take it away.
I mean, what more can I add? I mean, it's a fun documentary about celebrating the movie that's 20 years old. It's a good time.
Yep. Yeah, they interview everybody. They interview Sigourney Weaver, Tim Allen, Sam Rockwell, Justin Long, Tony Shalhoub, Rainn Wilson, who it was his very first movie, Enrico Colantoni, Brett Spiner, Will Wheaton, Damon Lindelof, Greg Berlanti, and that's just to name a few.
Wow.
Producer, Roth Cornett.
Yes.
Yeah, I agree with Ben. It is a great documentary. 50 is right up your alley.
Yeah. When people ask me what my favorite Star Trek film is, I always just say Galaxy Quest.
I think I'm going to.
It's not for the obvious joke. It really is my favorite Star Trek movie.
It really does. Yeah, it feels more closer to the original show than anything else. Where the fuck is that thing?
And it's a spoof movie that somehow manages to pull off the essence of what Star Trek is. Better than I'd say some of the more modern movies. I'd say. Yeah.
Well, the third one does feel the closest of the newer stuff. Shit, I can't find it, but I actually have a Galaxy, the Federation patch from the Galaxy Quest cruise somewhere in my room here. I got it in the loot crate.
I wonder, was that Justin Long's first movie?
No, don't think so. Hold on, Justin Long.
It has to be.
I didn't expect this episode to go very Star Trek heavy.
Yeah, it is his first movie.
Somehow did.
Yeah, who knew? No, yeah. I agree. Ben, great documentary. If you're into film documentaries, this is, like, in my opinion, top tier. Making of.
Yeah.
Okay, so now this is where it gets really heavy. Ben, guys,
this is where Mufasa dies on the episode.
Yeah.
And I'm in 15 narratives.
There, you fucking managed to do it again. Ben, this might be a little bit of a tender subject for you-ish, so I do apologize in advance. My number 2 is a History Channel documentary called The Nazi Titanic. So what this episode is... Hold on, I gotta bring up the synopsis. Damn it. Oh, damn it, it just got rid of me. Basically, what it was is the Germans during World War II made they really wanted to invade the Hollywood motion picture industry, so they were making grand scale propaganda films, and one of them was Titanic. And what they ended up doing with it was they made it so it was which in a way kind of was, but they made it so it was the British people's fault for the Titanic sinking. Like, it was just British arrogance, all that stuff. They created a character who's the hero of the movie, which is a German officer, because duh. It's also got a very troubled background for the movie, but here we go. I can finally read the synopsis, I hope. Okay. Nazi Titanic is the amazing and unknown story of one of the most bizarre chapters in World War II. In the middle of the war, Nazi propaganda minister Joseph Goebbels, who was fascinated by Titanic, decided to make a movie based on the sinking of the ship. This movie was so large in its scale, the Nazis were forced to divert men, materials, and ships from their war effort in order to complete the film. Over the course of production, Herbert Selpin, the movie's original director, clashed with Goebbels over the differing visions for the project. Selpin was arrested by the Gestapo and found dead in his cell the next day. Nazi Titanic reveals this little-known story by investigating the making of the film. Don't fucking do that to me. The making of the film, what happened to the original, as well as the Allied sinking of the Arcona, the German liner used in the film to represent Titanic, just days before the end of World War II, and how a Hollywood movie used footage from the Nazi film to portray the sinking of the Titanic.
Wow.
Yes, it's an insane documentary because this was happening at the time when the tides were turning against Germany. So they were already stretched thin on everything, but they still were putting funds and stuff like that in this movie. And they did it again to disastrous results afterwards. But this is the part where it gets a little heavy because this is the Arcona, which is the ship that they use for all the exterior shots. On May 3rd, 1945, 3 days after Hitler's suicide and only 1 day before the surrender, they basically took the Cap Arcona, and it was during the time where they were trying to erase any evidence of any wrongdoing. So they put a lot of people into the ship, and they let it set sail with combustible things inside, like gasoline, dynamite, all this stuff, because it was their intention to fool the Allies into sinking the ship with everybody on board. And it worked. Wow. It has 3 times the amount of casualties as the Titanic did. Wow. With very few survivors. It is an ugly moment in human history. And I was shocked when I heard that. Yeah.
Nazis, man. Fuck the Nazis.
Irony. Talk about irony. The ship that we used to portray one ship ended up being involved in an event that caused more deaths than the Titanic. Like, it's just, oh my God. Yeah, it's a documentary worth watching because it is a fascinating look into the German film industry at the time, because in the early 20th century, the German film industry was really huge because you had films like Metropolis and The Cabinet of Dr. Caligari and all that stuff. And then when the Nazis came into power, those filmmakers who were primarily Jewish moved to the United States. They do touch on that a little bit, but it's just fascinating to get a look into the inside of the German film industry and what was going on at the time. They even read passages from Goebbels' diary, which was recently found around the time of the documentary. Just a fascinating documentary. Even though it ends on a really bad note with that, still a fascinating documentary. It's a History Channel exclusive, so Ben, you should be able to get, if you are interested, not saying you should, it is on iTunes for like $3.
Oh, no.
Yeah. And honestly, like they did some groundbreaking stuff for this movie. That's why the sinking of the ship was included in, up until James Cameron movie, A Night to Remember was considered the best Titanic movie ever. And a lot of the sinking footage from the Nazi Titanic ended up in that movie. Of course, they did not credit Selpin and Goebbels, rightfully so.
Enlightening.
Yeah.
Or as Spock would say, fascinating.
Yeah. So let's end with let's cut that heavy shit out. 50, please bring up the mood. The mood.
Well, my number 2 is not a happy thing, but it does have a very happy ending. It's a tragic story with a happy ending, and it's called Batman and Bill.
Oh, I've always wanted to watch that. I have the book. I never watched the documentary.
It's great. For those of you who don't know, for the longest time, Batman was known to be created by Bob Kane. However, until fairly recently, it came out that Bob Kane only came up with the name Batman. It was really his partner who he screwed over in such a majestic way. Bill Finger Bill Finger actually created Batman, or at the very least, what we know of Batman. For those of you who don't know, dang it, I probably should have looked up pictures before doing this, but Bob Kane did come up with the name Batman, and he came up with a very ridiculous and stupid costume for Batman, which, ironically enough, looks very similar to the modern Robin costume. But then Bill Finger came, and he basically redrew and redesigned Batman the way we know him, with the black costume. There it is. This is what Bob Kane drew for Batman, and he even spelled it wrong because why not?
It had a hyphen in it like Spider-Man does.
Yeah, which I can see the Spider-Man on your shirt does have, which is good. But
the way it should be.
Basically, Bill Finger came up with the idea of the black suit with the bat motif and the bat logo. He came up with the idea of Gotham City. He came up with that. He created Robin. He created the Joker. I'm not so sure.
No, he created the Joker.
I think there's like a dispute between three different people, each claiming that they all created the Joker at one point or another, or a different aspect of the Joker. But yeah, he created Commissioner Gordon. He came up with the origin story of having Batman's parents die in an alleyway. He created the Batmobile.
Basically, he is the true father of Batman. Every single thing.
And Bob Kane just took credit for everything he did.
Yeah, agreed.
And because of how rights were going on and back in the 30s and 40s, he was able to get away with it for a very long time. And basically, the only reason he even created Batman to begin with was because he saw the success of Superman, and he said, "I got to do something like this." And he basically, like I said, he screwed over his good friend. He used his good heart and creative mind to come up with all these things for the character of Batman, which he then took credit for. And there's even in this documentary, there's a part where there's a conversation between him and Stan Lee, where obviously Stan Lee is being usual Stan Lee-ish. "Oh, I heard about this character Batman. I heard you might have been familiar with it." And Bob Kane is like blatantly, like bold-faced lying. "Yeah, I came up with the idea." And he's explaining how he came up with the idea. Obviously, that's stuff that Bill Finger told him, but he's explaining how he came up with this and how he came up with the idea for that. And Bill Finger, because he was such a kind-hearted person, he never once spoke out against him. He never wanted to take credit for anything. He never felt like he deserved anything. And there was even this one moment in the documentary when he co-wrote an episode of the 1966 Batman series,
which is touched on in this book.
Oh, cool. Oh, nice. But yeah, he wanted his name to be top billing in the credits, and he felt bad about it. He felt like he was asking too much. That's how good of a person he was. And the thing is, because Bill Finger led a very quiet and socially isolated life, no one really knew how to find him even after his death. No one really knew how. That was the main challenge of the documentary. How do you prove Bill Finger did all the stuff when you can't find any? And also, he was a gay man, so he had no children. So and later, not to spoil the documentary, but later, if you find out that he did marry someone, he had a daughter, on a different name. I don't know. I watched the documentary years ago, so it's a little bit jumbled in my brain. But eventually, they were able to find and locate his daughter, and she was given the residuals for Batman. And ever since then, the current season of Gotham at the time and Batman versus Superman: Dawn of Justice was the first time that Bill Finger's name has ever appeared on anything Batman as co-creator. Ever since then, you see Batman was created by Bob Kane and Bill Finger. And it's thanks to that documentary. And they even share a moment in the documentary where they go in with Bill Finger's daughter going to see Batman versus Superman in the theater and seeing her father's name appear in the credits.
I just want to read this before we go on to Ben's pick. This is from the book. Bill died knowing Batman was one of only 2 superheroes to be published monthly without interruption since the 1930s, obviously Superman being the other. He died having seen Story by Bill Finger begin to run on reprints of his earlier work. But it was mostly after he was gone that fans went to bat for Bill, urging DC to acknowledge him as co-creator. In a publication that came out shortly after Bill's death, the publisher of DC stated that Batman had lost one of his 2 real fathers. In another, DC ran a full-page drawing of Batman bowing his head at a gravestone for Bill in a summary of his career that ended, few men have contributed as much to comics as Bill Finger. In Bob Kane's later years, he showed a side few, if any, had ever seen. Bill never received the fame and recognition he deserved, he said in 1989. If I could go back before he died, I would like to say, I'll put your name on it now, you deserve it. But Bob didn't amend the part of his contract requiring that he always be listed as a sole creator of Batman. Jerry Robinson, who had long wanted a high-profile way to pay tribute to his old friend, he led the establishment of an award to honor past and present writers who greatly enriched the art of comic book storytelling. The award did not go to Bill. It was named after him. In 2005, the first annual Bill Finger Awards for Excellence in Comic Book Writing were given out. Today, Bill Finger continues to inspire comic book writers. Like Bruce Wayne, they vow to fight for justice, their own. They refuse to let what happened to Bill happen to them. From Milton to Bill, from salesman to Batman, from secret co-creator to unsung legend, Bill's most important story was not one he wrote, but the one he lived. Will this name ever be added to every Batman story? Batmanians are keeping their fingers crossed. Yeah,
that is the story of Batman and Bill.
Yeah.
Like I said, it has a happy ending, but it's a tragic story.
It does, and he's not the only one. She's like the Superman creators, same thing too. When they created the character, they signed over his rights for like $1,000 each or something like that. And then it wasn't until the 70s when the movie happened where it's like, hey, like where's our royalties? And then they end up going to court and they end up getting their name put on everything. But prior to that movie, they were never recognized as the creators.
Yeah, but I think their name was on the comic books all the entire time.
Yeah, it was in the comic books, but they never got royalties.
Oh, so that's what. Mm-hmm. Well, so going back to the happy ending at the end, right at the end there, they turns out. Actually, I think it wasn't Bill Finger's daughter. It might have been his granddaughter who came, and it might have been his son who was hidden from the world.
The one that dispersed his ashes.
Yeah, he dispersed his ashes on a beach in the shape of a bat logo.
Yeah. And they actually illustrated it in the book as well.
And it's one of the most beautiful moments from the documentary.
Yeah.
See, all these illustrations you see here in the book is they animated it in the documentary.
Because the documentary, the book are by the same people. But when I bought the book, I didn't realize it was a kid's book. Yeah, it's a kid's book that tells all that, but with the pictures, it's a great book. Yeah, called Bill the Boy Wonder. All right, Ben, bring the room.
Well, I thought all mine was happy. And then I remember there's certain documentary that one of us should bring up. The death of Superman, what happened.
Punt.
Oh, yeah, there you go. Okay, so there was a punt. Wow. Okay. So before I double
I was hoping no one would dig it up, but it was false hope.
Okay, so let's do the honorable mentions. So these first 2 are also from the same series that did the music one I talked about earlier. The first one's called The Lion's Share, which is actually about the origins of the song "The Lions Sleep Tonight" and how the originator of the song got completely screwed out of royalties. Devil at the Crossroads, which is about Robert Johnson, the famous blues legend who for years people had the urban legend that the reason why he got so good in a short amount of time is because he sold his soul to the devil at the crossroads. Again, great music documentary. The Battered Bastards of Baseball, which is about Kurt Russell's father's baseball team, which was the last true amateur professional baseball team, which I know is kind of a little redundant, but to play in the world. And it's a great documentary if you're a sports fan. The other one is Back to Music. It is a documentary on the band Twisted Sister called We Are Twisted Sister. It follows them from inception until after the release of their massive hit Stay Hungry. It even touches on the congressional hearings involving censorship in music. So those are my 4 honorable mentions.
I have two, real quick. Why won't you meet my neighbor? If you don't want to ask me,
I thought that was going to be one of your number ones.
What?
I thought that was going to be one of your number ones.
No.
Okay.
And what was the other one? I had another one. I guess I only have one honorable mention.
Okay.
That.
What about you, 50?
My only honorable mention was my original number 5, and it's called. I talked a lot about history today, with what really killed the dinosaurs and the history of planet Earth. So my honorable mention, which was my original number 5, was actually After Men. It is, I believe, it's a Discovery Channel original, but it's basically if human beings were to disappear off the face of the planet suddenly and mysteriously, what would happen? And it goes day by day, year after year, decade after decade, what is going to happen after humanity is no longer here? What will happen to the buildings without humans to maintain them and support them? And it shows how planet Earth, which goes back to my original point from before, it shows how planet Earth will eventually heal itself. Eventually, it shows you how buildings will crumble and get filled with greenery, animals will run wild, and how eventually after 10, 20, 50 years, some of the Earth's most iconic structures will just collapse and crumble to pieces, and the Earth will once again return to the glory that it once was before humanity, of nothing but lush green fields and tall mountains, and it'll become paradise once again. And it shows you, no surprise to anyone, the Golden Gate Bridge falling down, all these massive structures, like very much Planet of the Apes style. The Statue of Liberty falling down, breaking apart, and crashing to the ground. It shows you the Eiffel Tower slowly leaning down and crashing into the ground as everything is breaking. The Tower of Pisa, the Leaning Tower of Pisa, falling down completely. It shows you, it's apparently the only human structure that is able to survive without human maintenance for 50 years or so. Is actually one of the last remaining 7 wonders of the world. It's the pyramids of Giza, who will continue to stand until they eventually get completely covered up in sand and buried. And they will stay intact even underneath the mountains of sand. So like it shows you, like in, like, I believe it's the 20 years after humanity, it shows you how an entire skyscraper, it might have actually been the Empire State Building, it shows you how an entire skyscraper will be completely covered in greenery and infested with rats and mice all over the different floors. Like, it shows you how the Earth would look like, presumably, without humans around to either mess it up or maintain everything that they've done.
Sounds
the only
like
thing
hell.
I don't remember about the documentary is I don't think they touched on what would happen to satellites. So I'm assuming satellite just stopped working and crashed down on the nearest center of gravity, that being the Earth. So yeah, it's a fascinating one. But the only reason I bumped it away from my number 5 was because it's been a very long time since I watched it, and I don't really remember a lot of it.
Okay, so my number 1, I lied. Well, it's a sad
that
story.
That was an honorable mention. I'm sorry. I spoke about it like it's one of my entries on my list. I'm so sorry about that.
That's fine.
I really
That's
took
what we do here.
everybody's time.
Okay, so my number 1, like I said, it's more of a sad, but it's a celebration. But before I reveal the title, I'm gonna sing a little part of a song. The first time I'm not gonna sing it. The first time I saw him, he was sweeter than shit. Plaid jacket and belt too tight. He wasn't even doing a bit. Then he cartwheeled around the room and slow danced with a cleaning lady. He was a one-man party. You know who I'm talking about. I'm talking about my friend Chris Farley. the documentary I Am Farley. Like, again, the song doesn't have anything to do with the movie, but I felt it was right. It's a documentary, I Am Chris Farley, that I recently watched a couple weeks ago, about the life and legacy and how much he meant to all his friends and how big of an influence he was in the comedy industry. Great documentary. They interview his family members who are still living. Obviously, Sadler's on there, Spade's on there, like all of his friends are on there. They touched on everything that he did in his career. Great, and they even talked about who the man was. Great documentary. You could tell it was made with love by people who really, really missed their friend. Yeah.
May you rest in peace.
Yeah, and I know it's on YouTube, but for some reason Ben can't watch it. I wonder if you could watch it, 50. Yeah, it's weird. I sent them the link, but for some reason the company blocked it in his country, but I can watch it.
Weird.
Yeah.
I'll give it a shot.
Yeah. But yeah, if you're a fan of Chris Farley, like this is the be all end all.
Maybe it's because he's Canadian.
He's not. He's from Wisconsin, Madison, Wisconsin.
Never mind.
Yeah, close. But yeah, again, if you watch him, obviously they go into some of his famous bits and stuff like that. They even touch on the Chippendales dance and. But if you're a fan of Chris Farley, this is the be all end all. And the song that I sang was Adam Sandler's Farm Farley, which has become one of my favorite songs of all time because it's his most real and honest song, and it's a great song to boot.
So. You know what's really sad about that Chippendales dancing thing? Most of those guys are gone.
Fuck, yeah.
I didn't realize that. Like,
Ben, you know what's scarier? Did you have a birthday recently? Did you have a birthday recently?
April.
Okay, so
I did.
I'm currently the age Chris Farley was when he died. 33.
Wow.
Same as his idols, Belushi and Candy.
Oh,
wow.
Yeah. All right. So, guys, bring us up and home. Okay. 50, what is your number one?
I was going to ask, do you want to talk about your number one first? Because your number two is my number one. So,
yeah, go for it.
You're talking to me.
Yeah, I believe you're the only Ben on this show right now.
Yeah, that's true. 6 days to air. And mention what it takes to make a South Park episode.
Great enlightening documentary. Basically, that's all it takes to do an episode of 6 days.
Yep. And then do it right before it airs. That's the title. You need to see what the uncommon genius is because $900 million they got for the new contract. I don't know how they managed to pull that off. Good on them. But
it's very much guerrilla filmmaking style. Like they do it on the fly. If that's really all it takes, it's just 6 days to write it, voice it, animate it, produce it, edit it. That's very revolutionary. They're groundbreaking what they're doing. Like I'm not the biggest Star Trek. I'm not the biggest South Park fan. But it's incredible what they're able to do.
One of the things that actually enlightened me in that documentary is I didn't know Bill, up until I saw it, that Bill Hader was a writer for the show.
I don't think he's full-time. Like,
yeah, I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Ghostwriter then.
Well, not necessarily. Like, no, I believe he might have been credited, but you see him a lot in this episode because it was the episode that they were doing was one that he was involved in.
Huh.
Yeah. And what amazes me about them doing it in 6 days, at least for me, the quality does not suffer.
Mm-hmm.
In fact, I think it adds to the quality.
And it just helps them stay so topical on everything.
That's how they're able to stay this topical, as opposed to something like The Simpsons, which just predicts the future. They're living in the present.
Yeah.
Present.
I haven't watched it in a long
presence.
time.
Yeah.
You're close. No, it's I haven't watched it in a long time, but yeah, it's a great documentary. I'm actually excited that they've signed on to through season 30 and that they've signed on to do what 14 movies for Paramount Plus.
Yeah.
Holy shit! Like I'm not the biggest South Park fan, but I do love the show, and that just made me happy.
And I
Like,
love
the pandemic
the
special. Holy god, that pandemic special was a masterpiece.
I love the pandemic special. The vaccine special.
Not so much.
Yeah, man. I
The
need to
sequel
watch
wasn't as
it.
good as the original.
I need to watch that opening song
Oh,
of the
the Cartman
pandemic
song.
song. Oh
You
my
know Cartman's
god.
an anti-vaxxer.
What?
You know
Of course he
Cartman's
is. Of course he
Or-
is.
Yeah, or he'll find a way for it to help him out in the end. But yeah, I think I might go watch that pandemic special later. It's one of the best things they've ever done.
Yeah, agreed.
Especially their answer for how the coronavirus was created, because it's just like, oh my god.
Of course.
Is it better
of
than
course
is it
is.
better than the Borat's answer to how the
It
coronavirus
involves
happened?
Randy Marsh, Mickey Mouse, lots and lots of drugs, and China, specifically Wuhan. That's all I'm going to say.
Okay.
And then the cure is even better.
Yep.
The cure is even better. Let's just say it involves Randy Marsh needing a walker to walk around, because he's definitely excreted a few things.
Ooh.
All right. Did we talk your number 150?
No,
No, he
this
wanted to
specific
save it.
is for Ben.
Let's do it.
So my number one, as Ben mentioned earlier, we know him, we love him, we won't miss him. The late great John Schnepp. The Death of Superman Lives. What happened?
Yes. Which is somewhere in here.
I am one of those fools who watched it illegally when it came out, and I regret it to this very day, as a matter of fact. And
I think you still get it 50 to own.
yeah, but
I think.
okay, but I'll probably own the digital version because I don't think I can ship. Anyways, so yeah, The Death of Superman Lives. What happened? Superman Lives was originally supposed to be a Superman movie in 1996, I believe.
Yeah, around
featuring 6 or 7, I don't remember, but starring Nicolas Cage, 90s Nicolas Cage, as Superman. Yeah, at the time when Superman had a very long hair, so it kind of fits.
Mm-hmm.
But it seemed like everything that could have gone wrong with the production did, and eventually the movie was canned and never happened. And this is just our good friend, the person that this show and this entire community is loosely based around. And the great John Schnepp did the documentary talking to people from the movie making business. Some of them have been at one point or another involved in the Schmodown, such as Robert Meyer Burnett, and more recently, Kevin Smith. Kevin Smith was, I believe, the head writer of the
one of the drafts
of the project. And what I really appreciated about seeing Kevin Smith in that interview was the fact that everything that the executives threw his way, like the fact that they don't want Superman to be able to fly. They said Superman needs to have a jetpack because it sells toys. They don't want Superman to have the red and blue costume. They want Superman to fight a giant mechanical spider. Kevin Smith took all that and he found a way to make it work somehow by making Brainiac a human spider thing with like the head of Brainiac that just sort of walks into the council chamber at Krypton, wearing a giant robe, and then he takes off the robe and it's just a stick figure that becomes spider legs. And that is something that I really appreciate from the great mind of Kevin Smith. watching this document, I mean, hearing about this movie, you probably don't want to ever see that Superman movie. Watching that documentary kind of made me wish that movie existed, because a lot of the ideas that Kevin Smith, he made brilliant lemonade from shitty lemons, and that's a skill that not a lot of people can do.
Yeah, what's fascinating about that documentary is they actually show production stuff that they were working on in there, like concept art and stuff, and
a lot of never before seen stuff from the production.
And like we've all seen that picture of Nicolas Cage in the Superman costume. Well, they actually show the video footage of that production meeting where that was taken from. So and Tim Burton and Nicolas Cage going through what their vision for the character is, and you do see Nicolas Cage dressed up as Clark Kent at one point.
Yeah, and there's also a great image that I believe wasn't released to the public before that documentary, was an image of Nicolas Cage in the traditional red and blue Superman costume, and it looks awesome. But Ben, this was not your number 2. Why don't you speak about it for a little bit?
I mean, what else can I say? Everything you said I agree with. It's an amazing look at what could have happened. God love Schnepp for doing it, because I don't think anybody else would have. And there's that picture. Wow.
Well, that's not the one that impetus the movie, but that is, I think that's the one that 50 was talking about in the traditional suit.
I was talking about the one on the far left second row, but that's close enough.
Yeah,
not that one, right? Not that one, right above it. Yeah, that's the one I was talking about.
Right.
This looks great.
It does. This not so much.
Yeah, this was they had like 2 or 3 different costume ideas. They were all 3 of them were meant to be in like the.
That was a concept.
To be honest, can I be honest here?
Yeah.
The long hair isn't working for me.
The what?
Long hair.
It's very much of the 90s Superman. It made sense at the time. Like, I actually do kind of have a soft spot in my heart for that Superman, but it is a little weird to look back on for sure.
He kind of
but play devil's advocate, every Superman we had up until now didn't have that kind of hairstyle. It would have been nice to see different.
And that was done because of the whole Death of Superman thing. Because when he came out of the regeneration chamber, he had the long hair, and obviously they had to explain it. So Clark Kent had it, and it became a whole thing. But I personally like that comic book look of him with the long hair. I think it looks cool.
Well, yeah. Let me ask you this. This was 1995, something like that.
Yeah, it was mid to late 90s.
Okay. So after the line. At that time, how many people played Superman? Live action?
Probably a good half dozen.
4 or 5.
Well, you had
actually more.
George Reeves.
You had Kirk Allen, George Reeves, Christopher Reeve, Dean Cain, and the 2 guys from the Superboy. So that's like 7.
That's 7, and then that's also not including animated. So yeah, it was a fair amount.
Yeah, and it was a couple of years before Smallville.
Yeah.
Okay, I thought it was less than that.
No, but this is wrong thing. This is Superman in his comic book form with the long hair. Like I said, I like this look on the left there.
Yeah, I mean that's cool. Well, I can't see
I don't see it.
There we go. There we go. Freaking
yeah,
this looks pretty good. Come on, this looks good. Superman looks good in any situation. Come on.
Of course. Of course.
But I think the best thing that came out of that was the fact that Nicolas Cage did actually play Superman in Teen Titans Go to the Movies, which is one of my favorite comic book movies of all time. And there's that one moment when the Titans minus Robin decide to beat up Superman with kryptonite, and they kind of leave him, and then Robin shows up and he's like, "Guys, why did you do that to Superman? He's a national treasure."
It is a great movie. When it comes to this story, though, I would love to see this done as a one-off graphic novel, non-canon, nothing. I just would be interested to see the story. And when it comes to Kevin,
I would love to see it as a one-off movie, non-canon, but that's just me.
Hey, you never know where things are going. But also,
and then obviously, the same producer of that movie went on to produce the movie Wild Wild West with Will Smith and Kenneth Branagh, and son of a bitch got his mechanical spider.
Yes, and I was gonna say, like, Kevin Smith's story in this documentary, like, he obviously had to pare it down. If you want the full, funny, unabashed, unabridged story, there is a clip online from his first evening with Kevin Smith documentary. It's about 20 minutes long, I think, where he goes into full detail on the whole thing, and it is glorious. And he talks about his first time going to see Wild Wild West.
Yeah, and also another part of the documentary was eventually at one point Brainiac and Lex Luthor were supposed to merge and become one villain called Luthiac, and they actually did that in the Justice League animated series, which is one of my, I think it's my favorite single season of television of all time.
Very nice. Very nice. Okay, I want trivia question for you about this before we wrap up. Kevin Smith did not want to call it a spider, so what did he end up naming it?
I don't know.
It's actually mentioned in the documentary.
I didn't realize how many years it's been since I've seen it. I don't know. An arachnid.
Nope. A Thanagarian snare beast. To tie it in with Hawkman.
Of course.
Yeah, because you gotta build out a universe.
Real quick, I remember my other honorable mention. Movie trailers Love Story by John Campbell.
I haven't seen that yet.
Oh yeah, I completely forgot about it. It's a great one. It's great.
Man. Where can we find it?
It's on Amazon and Vimeo.
Okay.
Yeah, it's good. You see a lot of familiar faces in it too.
Yeah, Christian shows up in there.
Yeah,
a lot. Robert Burnett shows up in there. A lot of people from the Schmodown show up in there, and I believe actually Nerd Chronic edited the trailer for the movie about the trailer, so that's pretty cool.
Right on. All right, so 50. It is your turn next week. What is your topic?
Okay, so now I kind of wish we didn't have all this dark stuff that we talked about during the episode, but well, that's such is the way of life. Speaking of which, today is August 7th, which means in 3 days from now will be August 10th, which is the 1 year anniversary of the passing of my beloved dog, Sandy. She passed away on August 10th, 2020, the year of hell, as I like to call it. And that was one of the darkest days of my life. And in an effort to honor the passing of my dog, and also try to put a positive spin on it, while also trying to tie it into what it is we're doing here on the Schmoes of the North, my topic for next week is top 5 pets owned by Schmodown personalities.
Oh, well, we all know who number 1 is.
Yeah.
So, can I put a caveat on that? Cal the Schmodog tops everyone. So, everyone except Cal the Schmodog?
Everyone except Cal the Schmodog. But Leia is very optional. And you can also do past and present, like, speaking of deceased pets, Christian Harloff's dog, Taz, also counts. But let's try to, diversify. Let's not try to do just cats and dogs. We have Kaiser's pig, Piggy Smalls. We have Kate Mulligan's turtle, Toby Johnston.
We had up until recently, though, Rat, which was Grace and Ken's dog. Unfortunately, she passed away recently.
She's also eligible. I said past and present.
Yeah.
And I think
this is a good thinking topic. I like it.
Yeah, it goes to have a more recent one like Kevin, which is Jen Sturger's dog.
Yep.
Tank Girl, which is Liz Shannon Miller's cat, Luca, which is, I believe, one of Bibiani's cats, Sir Pounce, the cat awesome. Dan Morrill and Mara Kanopik, Indiana Bones, which is Mike Kalinowski's dog. This is going to be a fun, interesting topic.
This is going to be a fun list. I cannot wait to think about this. All right. So we'll start with you, 50. Where can everybody find you?
You can find me on my YouTube channel, 50 Shades of Geek. You can also find me, hopefully this week, I'm going to return to Twitch. I haven't done it for a couple of weeks. I'm going to return to Twitch to kind of help me practice for my upcoming trivia match in Harry Potter. I'll be playing the Lego Harry Potter video games, the old ones, while building Lego Harry Potter sets. And you can also find me on this channel. You can find me also on my Patreon, patreon.com/Pokemon Star, Cross, and Crescent. I'm designing a Pokemon fan game based on Israel. And I drop a lot of the artwork over there.
Yeah. All right, Ben, what about you?
You guys can find me at my Twitter, at Ben_Renew. You can find me in a few hours on Mount Schmodown, Mount guessing, Arizona's guessing today. We're covering, corruption. Yeah. And you can find me every Thursday on Shooting the Breeze, every Friday on Recapping the Past, and here every week.
Yeah, it sounds about right.
Yeah. Anyway, you, my man.
And as for me, you can find me on my personal Instagram at soda_the_saxman, which is also my Twitter handle. You can also find me on pretty much every show on this channel weekly. Yeah, that's actually pretty much it. Now that there's no more two channels, like it's all under one banner. That was the batarang.
One roof.
Yeah, no, that was
one channel to rule them all.
Pretty much. No, where's the other one? Son of a whore. I actually have batarangs. It was my first purchase when I moved to Vancouver. Oh, there it is. Ta-da. So yeah, anyways, on behalf of these two gentlemen, we will see you next week on another edition of Get Sweaty. And don't forget, everyone.
Oh, and also one final point. I know she hasn't been here for a while, but make sure to check out Soul over on John Roca's YouTube channel on the Ultimate Tomorrow and After show, which goes live in about 2 or 3 hours. I can't really remember the time zones, but they're having
3 o'clock Pacific.
Thank you. And they're having, I believe, Jesse Swift and Jacob London as guests.
Yeah, so definitely go check it out over there. It is one of the better Showdown After shows. Always fun to check that out. And then, of course, if you ever do join Roka's Patreon, Sol is commissioner of the league, which myself and 50 have competed in, and Ben will be competing in as well. So if you ever sign up for that, go check those out. We just had, I'm not going to say what the result was, but we just had a Get Sweaty Civil War in Inner Geekdom between myself and 50 Shades of Geek. And you know what? It lived up to the hype. That's all I'm going to say.
And also, we also had an exhibition match between me and the current double-belted champion, Raiko, also known as Canada Rocks, in a Doctor Who match, as well as me versus Mike Shea in a Harry Potter match.
Yeah, and I wrote the Doctor Who match. That hurt my head.
I'm going to ask you about that. I forgot to ask you about that.
Okay, so the full disclosure, I was like right up to the deadline of when I was supposed to write it, and I sat in my chair for like 4 hours to finish it. And the whole time, like I had a little bit of smoke and I was starting to drift off. So the whole time I'm literally like, okay, wake up!
Anyway, everyone.
We'll take care. We'll see you next week, and stay sweaty, folks.
Stay